Hello and welcome! Today we are completing PortSwigger's lab called User Role Can Be Modified in User Profile. This lab demonstrates a broken access control vulnerability in which a standard user can achieve vertical privilege escalation through parameter tampering. To solve the lab, we must access the admin panel and delete the user Carlos. From the lab description, we know there is an admin panel at /admin. This panel is only accessible to logged in users with a role ID of 2. We will see what this means in a jiffy. For now, the important thing is that we have to be logged in, and we can log in with the provided credentials. Let's access the lab and start hacking. First, make sure you are proxying your traffic through Burp Suite. I am using the Community Edition with the built-in browser. Since we know that only logged-in users have access to the admin panel, we should log in with the provided credentials, username winner and password Peter. If we try navigating to /admin, we see the message, admin interface only available if logged in as an administrator. Back on the My Account page, we have an update email functionality. Let's change the email to test@test.com and see what happens. The change was successful. Back in Burp, look for the post /myaccount/change email request. Send this request to repeater. In repeater, observe that the endpoint returns a JSON response containing the username, the updated email, an API key, and the role ID. If you remember, the lab description told us that the admin panel is only accessible to logged-in users with a role ID of 2. So the key question now becomes, can we modify our role ID from 1 to 2? Let's try. Add the role ID parameter to the request body and set it to 2. Send the request again. Observe that our role ID has changed to 2. This confirms the vulnerability. The server fails to enforce proper authorization checks and trusts client-supplied input, allowing privilege escalation through parameter tampering. This typically happens due to mass assignment. Mass assignment occurs when the backend updates a user object using all fields from the request, something like instead of explicitly allowing only safe attributes, such as the email address in our case. Remember, you should never assume that the client will only send legitimate fields. Security must never rely on client-side restrictions. Now go back to the browser and refresh the page. You should see a link to the administrator panel. Finally, delete the user Carlos and the lab is solved. As a final point, let's quickly look at something important. Let's change the email address again and this time observe the network traffic in the browser's developer tools. Notice that the response returns a 302 redirect and the response body appears empty. This happens because Chrome automatically follows redirects and hides the intermediate response body. This behavior is a security feature designed to prevent malicious websites from reading sensitive data embedded in redirect responses. However, Burp Suite operates as an HTTP proxy and intercepts raw traffic before the browser applies its security model. Burp can therefore display the full 302 response, including the JSON body, before the browser processes the redirect. This visibility allows us to observe that the application trusts client-side input. This is it for today's video. See you in the next one. Bye!